I decided not to make a reel with this one because you actually need a little bit more time than a minute to go through the things that I'm going through today. So I'm going to pop this on YouTube, and I might put some shorts on Instagram and in my Facebook group, Leanne's Collection. For anyone that doesn't know me, my name is Leanne Courtney. I'm an Australian artist. I design face paints that professional painters love all over the world, and I'm in the middle of teaching my daughter how to paint. She's 18 and I'm very excited, but I do want to make some beginner videos so that she will be able to learn, and I figured, well, other people would actually benefit from this as well. So today I'm going to be doing a line work class, and so I have got my Fusion Pro Paraffin White. I've got a spritzer bottle here, and what you want to do is spritz that bottle, not too close, and just spritz it. And I'll just to go through a couple of the tools that we have on the other side here. So I produce a line of brushes for face painters that I absolutely love, and these are what I use for my face paint. So they're called Leanne's rainbow brushes. I've got a 3/4 angle, a number 4, a number 3, a number 2, a pedal brush, a small angle brush, which is like a 1/4 inch angle brush, and a very small filbert brush. Now these are the brushes that I use. I think I use a couple of other ones, but these I would say use 95% of the time on the job. And I'm just going to take, I need to teach Elise how these brushes work, because it probably took me about 2 years until it triggered that I actually don't know what my brushes do. So I sat down, started teaching myself what my brushes did, and realized that brushes are not created equal, and also different brushes suit different people's styles as well. So these have quite a bit of bounce. They're quite tight. So if you are not an incredibly talented painter like myself, I've had to really self-teach. These keep my designs nice and tight, my line work really nice and tight. The bristles on it have a little bit of bounce. That's too technical. You don't need to know that. But basically, the Pro Paraffin White I really like because it is very opaque. So if I put it over the top of any of my other colors, then it's going to show up, and it also just doesn't sort of sink into the skin. This is a spritzer bottle. That's what we activated, and it's just got water in it. We activate it, and then I'm going to go through my brushes and just explain what they're for. So it's a little bit, I could start with the fun brushes first, but honestly, you need to start with the rounds, because we would use the rounds in nearly every single design, but I want you to understand what the rounds are for. So if you have I've got the number 4 here. I'm just going to pick it up without messing up everything else, which I'm probably not going to be able to do, but anyway. So if you just look there, that's working that paint up into a really nice creamy consistency. And there's quite a lot of moisture in the air in Sydney at the moment. So see this down here. You've got a runoff down here, so I can go into the wet color, or if it's too wet down here, I can go up and work that into the drier color up here. So I want to get this look how I'm turning my brush. Turn, turn, turn. That's giving me this. It's going all through there, but you can see that brush now is quite thick. You don't want it that thick with paint because it's going to actually run down. So I'm just making sure it's fully loaded. Now the bigger brush is for bigger teardrops and bigger line work, and especially if you have someone with a large face or a large forehead, you don't want to use a brush like a number 2, because only for fine detail, because it's going to get lost on their faces, or if you're doing tigers or something like that, it's not. So this is just sort of loading. I've overloaded there, but it doesn't matter because I'm just talking. So your round is this round here, you're going to press, and as I've got my brush pointing down, the paint is running, and so I might just wipe that off again so I've got a nice point, and I'm balancing my finger there, and I'm just going to push and then release like that. That's the teardrop. And then if you want to, you've got to have really a focal point for these things. Unlike my conversations, which are all over the shop, I'm a little bit ADHD, so you just have to bear with me. Have lots of knowledge, lots of things in my head, but getting them out in a linear fashion is sometimes a bit difficult. Right, so if you're doing line work and you want to do it to a focal point, you've got to come down and you've got to make it. It's actually, I'm doing it quite slow here, but it's faster if you do, like, it's easier if you do it faster. So I'm going to do it in real time of how I would do it. Say that's my focal point here. I'm just going to flick it in. So push, flick, push, flick, push, flick. Now, it's not perfect, but you don't really need it to be on the job. So, but that's basically coming into the focal point. But you can see when I'm doing it really measured, you can get, I'm just going to reload again, and I'm going into that really wet part down here, and it's getting a little bit too tacky. I probably could wash that, but I just want to show you so you can do that. See, have a look. The brush is laying flat, and now I'm just lifting that and pulling it into a nice teardrop. Now I'm coming back into that same teardrop and coming down and coming back to my focal point there. So you can see that that's good. And, you know, then I can just do different, just pull that in, and then I'm just going to reload again because I'm talking. And then I'm just going to start from a point and see there, that ran down. So just to fix that. You're never going to paint perfectly every time, and I don't, and so I'm not great with line work, but these brushes really help. But see how I just elongated that a little bit and just brought it down to a point. So that's fixing, you know, fixing your work. And so now that focal point is coming across here. You don't really want that, and that should have stopped there. So I'm going to go back. See how this is all, my focal points are now out because I extended this. So you really need to work out where your focal point is. And then also another problem with this is that it's very, very uniform. Have a look at that line. That's uniform right until, if it's too uniform, it's a little bit boring. I'm going to wipe that off. I would love to be a perfect painter. I'm not, but I think by me not being a perfect painter means that I can actually explain it better to people that are learning, because I do paint a little bit on canvases, but hardly at all. So yeah, if you've painted all your life, I think that sometimes the skills transfer. So I'm just going in, and I don't want that too creamy. I need it to run. I don't know, run, but not too run. So have a look at that consistency. It's sort of runny now. It's nice, but you do want to wipe it off on the edge. That's really, really runny. So if I was going to do that on the board, I'd have to have that a lot drier, because the plastic doesn't absorb any water, whereas your skin does. Your skin sort of soaks this up. So let me just try one more time with that. And so what were we doing? We were start with a focal point, and I'm going to do it all in one movement. Okay, so I go that, coming back in, down to my focal point, that, and then coming around. And then remember I said, so pushing harder here and then lifting again. So look how much more interesting that is, because I've gone thin, thick, thin there, and my focal points are a bit better. So anyway, I think that's for the number 4. You can see you can get these beautiful big thick teardrops. And if I were to say sponge some paint on, I'm just going to use, actually I wanted to use, I think I put it somewhere else. I was going to use that one because I really love that one. But anyway, this is Rainbow Unicorn. And when I wasn't doing a sponge loading session, but here we are, because I want to put some color on, because I find color very exciting. So I'm just going in and I am loading that sponge up in really straight lines. Now, some of the other colors that I design have all got colors in the same hue, so you can move the sponge around and pat it out and blend out these sort of white or pearl areas. You can blend those out. But with this one, the only thing I really want to blend out a little bit is between that blue and that yellow. you'll get a green in there, but I still want to keep it fairly tight. So I'm just reapplying. Now have a look at my sponge, and it's got dots on there, and the dots mean that I don't have enough paint on my sponge. So I'm spritzing again, going back in really carefully. See how I've got yellow against yellow, and I'm just loading that nicely here. Now the end colors, I'm just doing this and picking up that little bit of there. I don't want too much of that dark color, but have a look how pretty this color is. I'm just going to pat it on. So it's a really beautiful rainbow. And you can just pop that over their eyes as a little, you know, just even over their eyelids to do like a rainbow eyelid. And I can get sidetracked all day. I swear, I started with let's just do white paint and don't do anything else. But anyway, here we are. I'm going back in. That's a little bit tacky. I'm just going in here. Now, if I was to let this dry completely, it's going to, because it's wet, if I went straight over that, it's going to pick up the colors underneath. So you want to start working around the design somewhere else. See, you have a look. This makes all of the difference. See how that paint has run and that edge is a bit thicker now? Just take that off, that tiny little bit there, and that will make all of the difference. All right, so I'm going to pull that in, my teardrop down to my, see, that's much better. But it is going to run through the colors because it's wet. I'm going to leave that down there and I'll wait till it dries, and I'll show you how much better it is once your paint is dry. These are all the things that you just, I mean, you know, after years of failing at my face paint, crying, getting help, trying to understand where I was going wrong. So I would, if this is, and again, I'm talking about on a really, somebody that's got a big forehead, you want a big brush like that. And then I can just do my teardrops down here, coming back